Cek cek. Greetings everyone from Udiana Cricket Ground, here on the final day of this East Asia Pacific qualifying series for the T20 Under-19 World Cup, which is due to be held next year. And barring a miracle, Samoa is going to qualify for this tournament. Some might think that was a bit of a surprise, but they've been an excellent side in this tournament. As we saw yesterday, particularly against Indonesia, Indonesia did very well to restrict Samoa to just 81. But when Indonesia was chasing it, and it was a crucial match yesterday, if Indonesia had won yesterday, they would have equalled Samoa's 4 wins. Well, actually, they would have. Samoa would be, yeah, they would have. Samoa would have stayed on 4 wins, and Indonesia would have gone up to 4 wins. But Samoa were too strong. Their bowling was superb, and they won. And anyway, they're back out on the field today, Samoa. They're playing Fiji. Fiji's going to be batting first. And one of those Samoan bowlers that I talked about, Lamoe, she's just 15 years of age, but she was outstanding yesterday, and she'll be opening the bowling to Hazelman for the Samoa side. She comes from the northern end. It's a full toss, and Hazelman just plays that one up to Mapu in the covers, and there's no run. So yeah, it's been a great performance by Samoa in this tournament. Hazelman this time drives it into the covers again. It's fielded once again by the Samoa captain Mapu. So Fiji are winless in this tournament. They've improved throughout. Hazelman's just defending to point. But it's been a very enjoyable tournament. I've certainly enjoyed doing the commentary on it for you. I'm from New Zealand myself, but I live here in Bali, and it's been a pleasure to do this commentary. Played again to point, so good bowling here from Lamoe. Just bowling a good line, and Hazelman's only been able to defend so far. Yes, Lamoe only just qualifies. She's only just turned 15, so she's been very impressive. As once again, very good length delivery, defended away into the offside by Hazelman. So the other match today will be the final encounter between Papua New Guinea and the home side Indonesia. Hazelman this time plays it up to mid-on, mid-wicket. So a maiden to start with. Excellent bowling from Lamoe, as we've come to expect from her. And yes, as I mentioned yesterday, Indonesia did very well actually to restrict Samoa to 81. And it's just in their run chase. Bearing in mind, a win yesterday would have taken them equal with Samoa on 4 wins, but the bowling by Samoa at the start of Indonesia's run chase was superb, and they just got too far behind the run rate. Here's Mapu. It's down the leg side, and that's given wide. Feeling slightly better than I did yesterday. Pretty bad, not bad flu, but just annoying. This is outside the off stump, and Ricoro doesn't make contact, but it's wide. They actually ran through for one there as well, so it'll be 2. So Mapu just a little bit offline here. But she was outstanding yesterday, I thought. Just bowled a really good line. Hard for the Indonesian batters to score from. Indonesia only came up 8 runs short, but as I say, it was just, I think at one point they had 9 off 6 or thereabouts. So power play didn't really work for them. Bara in particular, who had batted really well the day before, just struggled for her timing, and then there was a clatter of wickets in the middle of the innings. Here is a swing and a miss outside off stump. There was a bit of excitement in the field there, but So'otanga behind the stumps didn't take it cleanly, so that may have been a chance there. As Hazelman looked to launch one through the offside. I haven't seen a replay of it, but there was excitement. So here's Mapu again. And it's down the leg side and it's wide. Yeah, so it's the opposite of what, 2 sort of opposing sets of fortunes in this tournament. Fiji winless, whereas Samoa are unbeaten. Here is some Mapu. This is wide outside the off stump again. So wherever you're watching this tournament, and this match in particular, it's another wide. So this is kind of the opposite of what happened yesterday for Mapu. She barely bowled a bad ball, and already in this over 5 balls have been wide. So the Indonesian team, who are probably back at the hotel watching this online, are thinking, well, if only we'd had wides like this yesterday, it might have made our job a little bit easier. There's Mapu again. This one's just defended by Hazelman. So no runs off the bat yet. Hazelman's just defending that one into the, back to the bowler. There's no run. Yes, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable tournament here at Udiana Cricket Ground. Really nicely hosted by Cricket Indonesia. Mapu again angles this one in towards Hazelman's leg stump. She just plays it away into the leg side, and there's no run. Quite sure what all that sound coming through the Stump Effects microphone is, or the ambient mics around the ground. It's a bit breezy. Mapu's round the wicket this time, and Hazelman drives that one up to mid-off. There's no run. So whilst Hazelman hasn't scored yet off the 11 balls that she's faced, it's looked pretty good actually. It's wide again from Mapu. So still one ball to go in this over. Here is Mapu again. Hazelman pulls that, works it away into the square leg area. There's a fielder there, and that is the end of the over. So 7 runs off it. Fiji 7 without loss after 2 overs. Here's Lamoe getting a new over to Rokoro. Just defended nicely. She's again Lamoe. Very good line and length, and beats the outside edge of Rokoro's bat through to the keeper So'otaga. There's no run. This time she struck on the pad, Rokoro, but she was on the front foot. Looked to hit fairly high on the pad. So probably a less chance of an LBW there, but another good ball from Lamoe. This time it's in the air, but it falls safely, and they're going to get through for a single. Fielders converging from square leg and mid-wicket, but it fell safely in front of them. So Rokoro's off the mark with 1. Hazelman this time lifts it in the air out towards mid-wicket. A little bit streaky there, and Polotai Val coming in from mid-wicket just couldn't quite get to it. Of course, Polotai Val took 6 wickets yesterday against Indonesia. Really, really good performance, which ensured Samoa's victory. This is a full ball to Hazelman. She's just playing it up to cover, and that's the end of a second over from Lamoe. Just the 1 off it. Fiji after 3 overs, none for 8. So there's a bowling change here. Farani's going to come in, replacing Mapu. And immediately there's a shout for LBW, but not given. Here's Farani again. Just off a few paces. Another shout for LBW, but I think it was Batten that. Certainly sounded like it. You hear the energy in the field from Samoa, even though they've already qualified. This one's driven up to mid-on. No run there. And this one is an inside edge. Runs down towards the down to fine leg. They've come back for 2. So 2 more to Rokoro. She moves on to 3. Just going to make a fielding change here, Samoa, and just try and plug that gap where that inside edge just happened. So here's Ferrani again. And this is in the air, out towards point. Good bit of fielding there. And they get through for a single. Rokoro moves on to 4. Wasn't a chance. It was in the air, but it wasn't a chance. Hazelman this time is bowled by Ferrani. It's short, and she tried to cut it away. It was probably too close to her body to cut. And Ferrani makes a breakthrough. Hazelman's on her way. Yeah, just skidded on a little bit there from Ferrani, and she's claimed the early wicket. That's the end of the over as well. So Lamoe's going to carry on from the northern end. Wangani Sao, the Fiji captain, has just come in to join Rokoro. And it's down the leg side from Lamoe. So it's a wide. Fiji on to 12 for 1. Driven nicely by Rokoro. She beats the diving effort of Mapu in the covers and gets a single. From the bowler, but not really supported by anyone else. This time Rokoro's playing it back to Lamoe and her follow through. Lamoe once again, and Wangani Sao tried to play that one away behind square. Might have just come off her pad actually, because it wasn't signalled wide as it went down the leg side. This time Wanganisau is the bottom edge down the leg side. They go through for a single. So she's off the mark. She batted very well yesterday, Wanganisau. 42 I think she made in the end, and Fiji was chasing a big total against Papua New Guinea. 121 I think it was. They fell well short in the end, but Wanganisau had a good innings. This time Ricoro's beaten outside the off stump. So just one ball left in Lamoe's third over. She's just conceded 5 runs. I suspect this will probably be her last over. Of course, players are allowed to bowl just 4 overs in this format of the game. And she's bowled her. Wow, maybe she'll get another over after that. Ricoro had done well. She's scored 5 and kept Lamoe wicketless until that moment. And Lamoe strikes. Fiji lose their second wicket. The new batter is Silavia, but it's going to be Wanganisau on strike to Farane. She begins a new over. And Wanganisau drives nicely down the ground. It's running out towards the boundary. It won't quite get there, but she's going to get through for 2. Politai Val does the fielding. She's just defending. Wanganisau, she'll be in feeling pretty good. She batted very nicely yesterday, scoring at a run and ball. It's down the leg side from Farane and called wide. This one struck nicely by Wanganisau. It's fielded by Bracey in the covers. Well, at point really. There's no run there. This one's played up to deepish mid on. Comes through for a single, does Wanganisau. So just 2 balls left in the power play. It's going to be Silavia to face her first ball of the day. Farani again. And Sylvia just plays it back to the bowler. So last ball of a power play. Here's Farani. It's played up to mid-wicket. And there's no run. So as I thought, Lamoe's come out of the attack, even though she took a wicket with the final ball of her over. Just lost our picture here on my... Oh, we've got it back now. Yeah. So it's going to be Tafia coming into the attack. Fiji 19 for 2. Wanganisau on strike. Plays that one away to square leg. Fielded there by Salaseli. He's down as 12th man, so, or 12th. There should be, maybe there's someone's gone off. I didn't spot that. So this is a wide from Tafia, down the leg side. In fact, not Salaseli, I'm looking at the wrong team sheet. It was Maui Tonga, I should say, who did the fielding there at back at square leg. This is played nicely by Wanganisau out to mid-wicket, but there's a sweeper coming around. Oh, but it's a misfield. That was Farani. Just a little bit casual there. Reached down with one hand and missed it. So that is 4 to Wanganisau. She moves on to 8. So leaving off from where she was yesterday, timing the ball nicely, getting herself nice and set. And this time it's played away again. And it bounces just in front of Farani on the mid-wicket boundary. And it bounced up and she misjudged it and it went away for another 4. So Wanganisau really taking to Tafia's bowling here. She's 2 boundaries off the over so far. And just lost the sound there.
Check.
Yep, that's good. And this next one is just played by Wanganisau. Actually, Sylvia's on strike here, so I think I've just missed a single in this. In fact, no, it's not. It's Wanganisau. So that's through to the keeper. So just one ball to come in this over. 9 runs off it so far. Of 2 4s and a wide. Of course, here is Tafia again. A Wanganisau has a swing and a miss. And that is the end of the 7th over. 9 runs coming from that over. Fiji 28 for 2. Wanganisau's on 12 and Sylvia yet to score. And it's welcome for the first time today to Toby from the ICC. He's come to have a stint in the commentary position. Good morning, Toby.
Good morning, Andy. It's great to be joining you again. On the final day of this tournament, as 3 teams are currently looking to qualify for that Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup. Samoa obviously could put an end today with a victory here over Fiji.
And this one is clean bowled. Sylvia Farani, it was a full-length delivery and it was an attempted, she attempted to play it through the leg side, Sylvia, but it was probably just a little bit too full, and Ferrani hits the stumps for the second time today. There's a lot of noise going through my headset. I'm not quite sure why that is today, but I think it's possibly just due to the wind actually. It's very breezy here today at Udiana Cricket Ground.
Great spell of bowling here from Vera Ferrani, much needed for her team, coming on in just the third over and picking up 2 wickets.
That's the first ball to a new batter. Just got to pick up who that is. That's Poulter. Poulter's back into the side today. She didn't play yesterday. And no run off the first ball, and this time it's outside the off stump, and Poulter coming forward trying to play an aggressive drive, doesn't make contact, and it's through to So'otunga behind the stumps. There's Ferrani again, and once again Poulter's beaten outside the line of off stump. Good, decent start by both sides here actually, but that wicket of Silavia might just have Samoa slightly ahead at the moment. This one may have just brushed the pad of Silavia. So 2 balls left in this over. Ferrani's got figures of 2 for 7 so far, and let's see what she's got in store this ball, and it's played away up to mid-on. They're going to go through for a single. So Poulter's off the mark. Brings Wonganasea back onto strike. He's really finding some form with the bat at the end of the tournament. That is the end of the over. It's 29 for 3.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nervous start for Samoa, realising the importance of this game for them, but Vera Ferrani coming into the attack and picking up a few early wickets, hopefully from a Samoan perspective, has calmed a few nerves, and as well from a Fiji perspective, looking to record their first win of the tournament, and be a really big confidence builder for them as they look to develop their cricket into the future as well.
Here's Tafia again. It's a full toss played away by Wonganasea, but she finds the Moe on the square leg boundary. And the Moe with possibly the strongest arm in the Samoa side, despite being the youngest, but she generally tends to occupy that boundary rider role, and I suspect part of the reason is why she's got such a great arm. This is defended by Wonganasea. This one's hammered down the ground by Wonganasea. Oh, and it bounced up and it might have hit the fielder in the face there. And she looks fine though. That was Toiliu out there. So Wonganasea, she's off strike now, so Poulter back on strike. She's on 2, and she times it nicely up to mid-wicket, beats mid-wicket in fact. Toiliu comes round to field, so it'll just be the 1. So this is good for Fiji. They making the scoreboard tick over. They're going along at 3.69. That's pretty good in terms of a run rate. This is struck nicely by Wonganasea. There's a big gap out there, and it may... I thought there was a mid-off in place, but there wasn't. So ran out towards the long off boundary, and Wanganisa was able to get through for 2. She moves on to 15. That's the end of the over. 9 gone now, and Fiji 34 for 3. Tafia's gone for 14 off her 2 overs.
Yeah, it's been a pretty positive start from Fiji, and the captain, Mele Wanganisa, she's hit form at the right time of the tournament. And of course, not just Fiji will be hoping for a win today. If you're in the Indonesia camp or PNG, you'll be right behind the team in light blue, hoping that Fiji can get a victory and keep your chances alive in this tournament.
It's played up to mid-on, and there's no run to Poulter.
As we see the captain for Samoa, Tia Mapu, bringing herself back into the attack. Obviously just first over, just a few too many wides, so she'll be hoping to restrict the...
Oh, that's high in the air, out towards cover. It's over Ferrani's head. Poulter didn't quite time it, but it was timed well enough to clear cover. And that is 2 to Poulter. So a little bit streaky, and Ferrani was quite deep actually, but I don't think we can really fault her too much. It was over her head quite comfortably. Here's Mapu, and Poulter drives that one nicely up to mid-off. There's no run. Here is Mapu again. Once again, it's driven nicely by Poulter, but just back to the bowler.
It's been a very positive start for Fiji, and this partnership is starting to build. Both Poulter and Wanganisa looking to play their shots and keep the scoreboard ticking. It's probably one of the best starts Fiji have had in this tournament, and we'll be hoping with 2 balls until the drinks break just to go in unscathed, 3 down, and set themselves up for a big last 10 overs.
Here's Mapu once again. Once again, it's driven nicely by Poulter. Oh, that could have been dangerous. To hit the edge of the concrete artificial, bounced up. But anyway, it's 1 more to Poulter, and that is the drinks break. So we'll take a short break with Fiji on 33 for 7. So we're back after the drinks break, and for anyone that's been listening since the start of the day or watching from the start of the day, I just realised I've led some people astray here. Yeah. Samoa, of course, have just won the 4 matches. I think I said 5 earlier. They've only won the 4 matches so far. So here is Poulter playing that one behind square. So it's Tafia bowling her 3rd over. So, yeah, so actually Samoa, they need this win actually, because if they were to lose, as this one swept beautifully by Poulter all the way along the ground in front of square and out to the boundary for 4. She moves on to 10. But yes, if Samoa was to lose today, either Indonesia or PNG will also finish with 4 wins. So, Toby, do you want to just talk us through the permutations and combinations, as they say?
Yeah, happy to do so, Andy. Yeah, of course. If Samoa are to win, they will have finished with 5 wins out of 6, which will put them on 10 points, and they will be packing their bags on their way to Malaysia at the ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup in January 2025. But if Fiji are to pull off an upset and get their first victory of the tournament, which this partnership between Poulter and Wanganisau is really setting them up nicely, then it will be the winner of this afternoon's match between Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, who will likely go through to that Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup. So there's a lot to play for in this morning's match. It has an impact on those teams this afternoon. And yeah, there'll be a few nervous moments, but hopefully, well, if you're in the Samoa camp, hopefully for Samoa they can continue their strong performances. But Fiji will be looking to pull off an upset, and will probably make a few friends along the way as well.
So one further run there to Poulter. Just played that nicely in the air over mid-wicket. Just a single. Brings Wanganisau onto strike. Very much in form with the bat at the moment. She times that one nicely, but Tafia just can't quite follow field on her follow through, so they get a single. So Toby, just for people that may not know, when you say it's likely that if Samoa was to lose this match, they'll finish with 10 points, 8 points as you say, and then either one of PNG or Indonesia will finish with 8 points as well. It's not possible to finish on 7. We don't have ties in this tournament, or draws, or however you want to put it. But why would it be that either PNG or Indonesia would progress instead of Samoa? What's the reason for that?
Yeah, it comes down to the net run rate, and at the moment, the way it looks is that Papua New Guinea have a superior net run rate to any of the other teams in the tournament, and Samoa and Indonesia a very similar net run rate at the moment. So you would think that if Indonesia were to win and Samoa were to lose, then that change in net run rate would bring Indonesia up on top of Samoa. But yeah, they would essentially all finish on, or 2 teams would finish on the same amount of points, but Samoa do have an inferior net run rate to Papua New Guinea and potentially Indonesia as well.
Gee, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I've sat here for 5 days and I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not following it as closely as you are in terms of the exact position on a table and change every day, but I'm just a little bit surprised to hear that. But this one's lofted down the ground and they're going to get a single, so one more to... in fact they're going to come back for 2. That's good running. Well done by Poulter there. She saw the opportunity for a second. 2 more to Wanganisau. But actually when I think back, PNG scored that 170 on the second day, which it's comfortably the highest score of the tournament. So that obviously would have made a huge difference. But it's a full toss and it's played down the ground. They're going to get a single. It's a no ball as well. So a free hit coming up here off this next Mapu delivery. Although I'm not surprised to hear that Samoa and Indonesia's run rate is fairly close. And what it does show is that Samoa's bowling yesterday to not just win the match against Indonesia. This one's swung at by Poulter. There's no run as it goes through to So'otaga. That's the...
It was actually bowled, but it was a free hit, of course. So there was a little celebration from Samoa, but as you can see, umpire Kalidas replacing the stumps.
That's good spotting, Toby. I didn't see the bails fall off there. Must have just clipped the bails. So the stumps didn't move. Here is Mapu again. And this is just defended by Poulter. But what I was getting at, Toby, was so yesterday, and we'll talk about what you've been up to yesterday a bit later. But the bowling early on by Samoa yesterday in the run chase by Indonesia was just so tidy, especially relative to today. As this one is played up to mid-on, quite deep, and they get through for a single. So Poulter goes on to 12, and at the end of the 12th over, Fiji 48 for 3. But yeah, so Indonesia actually did really well yesterday to restrict Samoa to 80, I thought. And they only finished 8 runs short in the end. But a big reason that they finished 8 runs short was the fact that I think off the first 6 overs they only scored about 9. But they just struggled to find any rhythm yesterday, and so yeah, so not only did Samoa have a slight differential at the end, they scored 8 more runs off the same amount of overs, but they also prevented Indonesia taking the 2 points, which was largely down to some excellent bowling, I thought, particularly in the first 8 or 9 overs.
Yeah, absolutely. Samoa in the early games, it was their batting that was doing the job for them, but yesterday against Indonesia, it was their bowling and fielding that was just exceptional. And as you said, in their first 6 overs, only the 9 runs, and then this bowler,
Politaivao, yeah,
Silapia Politaivao, coming in for, she'd only bowled 1 over in the tournament thus far in the first 4 games, and then to pick up
6 wickets.
Yeah, 6 wickets, get player of the match. They'll be hoping she can do a similar job today, as we see Wonga just hit that ball for 4, and she's well batted by the Fijian skipper.
She's timing it nicely the last couple of days, really building her confidence. But yeah, it's pretty... It was a bit of a bizarre game yesterday as well, because I know we're talking a bit about a game that's already finished, but it was such a crucial game for the outcome of the tournament between Samoa and Indonesia, and as Politaivao comes in again, and Wonganisau drives that one up towards long off. It's running out towards the boundary, and I think it's going to go all the way for 4. Yes, it has. So lovely timing by Wonganisau. That takes Fiji on to 57. But what I was going to say, Toby, is that you've got a feel for one player yesterday in particular, Pinun from Indonesia, who did absolutely brilliantly. She took a hat-trick, she took 5 wickets, and somehow finished up on the losing side and didn't get player of the match. Here's Politaivao, and it's just defended by Wonganisau.
Yeah, well, it was this bowler, Silapia Politaivao, who ended up getting that player of the match, didn't she, with her 6 wickets and bowling her side to victory. And yeah, unlucky for Pinun for Indonesia, but it was a really good bowling and fielding performance from both teams yesterday, wasn't it?
And it's nicely fielded by Lamoe at mid-wicket, and she gets up off the ground, and as I've mentioned a few times in this tournament, she's got a great arm. by that I mean she's got a powerful throwing arm, and just while she wasn't even on her feet, but still managed to get in a very nice return. As Wanganui-Sao goes on to 28. And this one through to Poulter. She tries to swing it away on the leg side. That is the end of the 13th over. Fiji 58 for 3. But, you know, we get down to things like net run rates and all those sorts of things, Toby. And I know that always plays a factor in tournaments. I mean, you look at something like the Indian Premier League, for example, at the moment, and, you know, every single graphic I see coming out on Instagram is constantly looking at the net run rate. And but in the end, you know, Indonesia had a good chance to win yesterday. They had a really good chance to win. They got Vera Farani out fairly cheaply, restricting Samoa to 81. But, you know, I have to say, whereas you said Samoa's strength has been its batting, there's Farane beginning her last over. Wanganui-Sao struck on the pad, no run. Yeah, whereas Samoa's strength has been their batting, you know, Indonesia's strength hasn't been their batting. And I think ultimately, you know, you could probably argue Indonesia's the best bowling side in the tournament overall, but, you know, Samoa in a couple of the other sides, like such as PNG, have taken advantage of the fact that Indonesia's batting just isn't that strong. They don't really have any big hitters. It's, you know, possibly one of the differences. There's Wanganui-Sao beaten outside off stump.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each team has their different strengths, and we've seen a lot of those strengths on show in this tournament. But I think what we've seen is in different games, different strengths get highlighted. As we mentioned yesterday, Samoa, you know, we didn't think their bowling and fielding was as strong as their batting, but it ended up being their bowling and fielding which won them the game. And we've seen in other games with Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, different strengths, you know, leading to victory. And we see today with Fiji, this is probably their best performance to date so far. I mean, they did score 80, they've scored 80 twice, but they're looking, if they can keep Wanganui-Sao and Poulter in this partnership over 30 now, with still over 6 overs left, they'd be looking at a score over 100, which is going to be a tough one for teams to chase.
Yeah. So Farani, she's got one ball left in her spell. She's done a very good job here. 2 for 9. But as I say, this is the last ball of her bowling spell, and it's hit up to mid-off by Wanganui-Sao. It's defended up there, and that is the end of the over. So 14 overs gone, 59 for 3. But you said one crucial word there, Toby. You said the word partnership, and I think, you know, Fiji's been a side that struggled throughout the tournament to just put together a partnership. And the advantage of being in a partnership that's got up to a level of, say, 30, as you mentioned, is that they're set. So with 6 overs to go, they're set. That, you know, Poulter's batted really well and played some nice shots to get through to 13. Wanganui-Sao's on 28, off the back of her 42, I think it was yesterday. So Fiji actually are very well placed here as Politai Vau comes in again from the northern end. And Wanganui-Sao plays it out to Lemoy on the... In fact, it was Poulter playing it out to Lemoy on the mid-wicket boundary. So she's done her job. She gets the single, gives the strike back to her captain.
Yeah, this partnership continues to grow and build momentum. As I said, it's not just Fiji that are hoping for a victory today. It's Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, and the captain for Fiji, Mele Wanganui-Sao, putting on a great performance so far.
This time she drives it up to long on, is it? No, so it just went behind the keeper. Just lost sight of that. Sorry, behind the bowler. That's one more to Wanganui-Sao. I think also yesterday, Wanganui-Sao, and go back to the point about partnerships, towards the end, I mean, it was always going to be a near-on impossible chase. as this one's outside the off stump to Poulter. Yeah, Wanganisau ran out of partners, as we say in cricketing parlance. About 4 wickets fell at one point where she had barely faced a ball, and then it got down. It was Isamelli, for example. I think she came in at 10, and Wanganisau was caught in two minds. Here's Poulter facing up to Politavau, and she's bowled. So Politavau does it again. She took 6 wickets yesterday. She's hit the stumps again today. And just as I mentioned that this partnership is putting Fiji in a very good position, Politavau, she strikes and Poulter's on her way.
Yeah, she's proven to be a big-time player. Politavau can get the wicket when her team needs it, and none more so than right now with that 4th wicket, breaking the partnership, taking out the top of middle stump. And who knows, that could be the key wicket to send Samoa onto that World Cup that we speak of in January. So well done to seal up here. Politavau on the breakthrough there.
So just to be clear on this whole point, again, if anyone's just turned on the live stream today, if Samoa win this game, they qualify. If they don't win this game, they might not qualify.
Absolutely. So
okay.
Destiny is in their hands as we speak, and we say a big talofa to everyone watching from across Samoa and wherever you may be, across the Pacific or across the globe.
Maybe a bull of Vanaka in there as well. Here is this next ball to Meki, and she's just defending it. First ball she's faced from Politavau, and it's a Selamat Pagi to anyone who's watching around Indonesia, or anyone who's watching here at the ground and watching our broadcast here. They're going to take off for a single, and that's well run. This ball was played away to square legs. That's all Meki needs to do, just try and find a gap, find a single, bring her captain on to strike.
Yeah, although it was the last ball of the over, so you do get the feeling that maybe it could have been better for Wanganisau just to be happy with a dot ball on that last ball, but I suppose any run will do, and it's good for Meke's confidence to get her first run as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was just saying before, Toby, about Wanganisau got kind of really stuck in two minds towards the end of the match yesterday, because on the one hand she was scoring quite freely, but on the other hand she was really worried about losing wickets. So there were quite a few times where she either found a gap and didn't take a single, or the opposition, she turned down runs also when it was Isamelli mainly, when she could have taken a single, just simply because Wanganisau wanted to strike as much as possible at that particular moment of the game. Here's Lamoe beginning a new spell from the southern end this time. So you sense Samoa here really are looking to try and secure another wicket. And the fact that Meki's on strike rather than Wanganisau may have been the reason that they went back to their strike bowler, and Meki's just defending that one again. So Lamoe, figures of 1 for 5 off 3.2 overs, just shows how accurate she is. One thing I've noticed with Lamoe, particularly in the last few days, is she just doesn't bowl anything short. She's always bowling a good length and a good line, and clean bowled. So the bowling changes worked. Lamoe gets her second wicket, and Meki, she's bowled and she's on her way, and Fiji now halfway through the 16th over, they're 62 for 5.
You called that perfectly there, Andy. Oliver Lamoe, perfect line and length, just taking out the bottom of off stump and middle stump there, and Wanganisau just stuck at the non-strikers end there, as we talked about that single off the last ball in the previous over, and wickets can fall in clumps, but still a long way to go. But well done there to Oliver Lafanga Lamoe on her second wicket for the day.
Yeah, I mean, but captains can do that, like, and perhaps in this case, Mapu, she might have just spotted that, you know, they'd taken that single, and therefore Wanganeen-Sao wasn't going to be facing the next ball from the other end, and she thought, right, I'm going to bring my strike bowler back right now, and see if we can take a wicket. Actually, that's exactly what happened yesterday in the Indonesia Samoa match. As soon as Farani came in, and she scored a few runs early on, and I mentioned Farani because she's such a dangerous player. Indonesia immediately brought back Murtiari and she took her wicket. Here's Lamoe, and this one's off the outside edge from Wati. It's running down behind the keeper. They're going to come back for 2. So they're taking the runs, as you said, Toby.
Yeah, absolutely. And Millie Wati coming to the crease. She's proven to be an entertaining batter this tournament, and these two batters both can generate a lot of runs quickly. So, you know, they'll still be looking to post a really competitive total here, Fiji.
And they're well on their way at 64 for 5. Just 2 balls left in this over, and struck on the pad that time, Wati. No run there. So just the 2 balls left in just the 1 ball left actually in this Lamoe over and her spell. She's got 2 for 7. Round the wicket to Wati, and she struck on the pad. Bit of an appeal there. So that's the end of Lamoe's spell. She finishes her 4 overs with 2 for 7. Getting the crucial wicket there of Meke, and with 4 overs left in the innings, Fiji 64 for 5. So Wanganeen-Sao will have the strike. She's on 29 off 33, and it's going to be Politaivao to continue. So she had success in her last over. Wouldn't it be a huge wicket for Samoa if Politaivao could pick up the Fiji skipper here? So she comes in now. It's a big full toss, and it's pulled away out to deep square leg where Farani does the fielding. I think that's going to be given a no ball, is it? Yes, it is. So it's going to be a free hit, which Wati will face because they went through for a single.
Probably not a bad result there for Samoa, just with the single off the no ball, as Wanganeen-Sao has shown that, you know, previously facing Politaivao, that she can hit a few boundaries. So, yeah, not a shocking result from a Samoan perspective off the free hit to be bowling to the new batter.
Politaivao going round the wicket this time to the left-handed Wati, and she swings that one away to mid-wicket. It's fielded there, so no damage done. Yeah, I mean, without trying to labour this point too much, when Wanganeen-Sao had hit it, you know, timed it so nicely and hit it straight to a fielder, there might have been a case of her keeping the strike for the free hit. But then again, she wouldn't have known for certain that it was going to be a free hit. This one, Wati swings it over the top of the keeper's head. I'll just take one, and Wanganeen-Sao responded to the call, and she'll come back onto strike. Fiji now 67 for 5. So anyway, Toby, what did you get up to yesterday? I believe that you were engaging with the local community on all things cricket, which is great to hear, but it'd be great to hear a little bit more detail over the next over or so about what you got up to. Here's Wanganeen-Sao driving once again out to deep mid-wicket. It's a single, and that is it's not the end of the over.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to go up into Denpasar and see Cricket Indonesia running the ICC Level 1 coach course for for the local association, and there was a lot of teachers also going through the course. There was probably about 30 people there participating on a weekend, learning about cricket, really interested, very well facilitated by Cricket Indonesia.
This one swung away by Wati, up to a wide mid-on. She gets a single. That's good play from Indonesia.
Yeah, it's just great to see the enthusiasm and willingness to learn about cricket within Indonesia, and a great turnout on the weekend.
30, that's quite a big number actually. I was not expecting you to say 30. I thought maybe more like 10 or something like that, but it was great to hear. Where was the course held actually?
Yeah, it was up in Denpasar at one of the universities there, so in the university lecture theatre, but then also utilising the university grounds.
Right, okay. Oh, very nice. I was going to say, if they tried to have some of it in the big park in the middle of Denpasar, you'd struggle to get any spare grass on a Sunday, that's for sure. Here's Politai Vau coming into Wangani Sao, and once again, that's well stopped at mid-wicket. She timed it nicely, and that was Lamoe there. Lamoe, she just stopped that brilliantly. So because of that no ball, in fact it looks like we've completed the over according to the scorecard. In fact, the umpires have just realised that actually that is the end of the over. So 17 overs gone. Well, actually, let's just double check. Yes, it is the end of the over. 17 overs gone here now at the Udiana Cricket Ground. Fiji batting first, 69 for 5. Wangani Sao, she's on 31 with her Wati on 4. So just the 3 overs left in the Fiji innings.
Yeah, really good finish there to Politai Vau's over, the 2 dot balls, and of course it keeps the dangerous captain of Fiji, Mele Wonganisau, off the strike for the start of this 18th over. So yeah, she's just been easing into her spell really well. Sila Pia Politai Vau. Her first over was a little bit expensive, but yeah, really impressive second and third over, and really doing her part for the Samoan team.
It's going to be Tafia. Change of ends for her. She's bowled the 3 overs. She's going to come around. In fact, she's going over the wicket to Wati. Wati gets a full length delivery, tries to swing it through the leg side. Doesn't time it, and there's no run there. Here is Tafia, and Wati this time is only able to hit it up to mid-wicket. Peter does the fielding. There's no run. So this is good from Tafia. Here she comes. Wati this time plays it into the gap between mid-wicket and square leg, so they'll get a single. That's what Wati needed to do, bring her captain on to strike. Tafia, and Wangani Sao drives it into the covers, and there's a misfield there by Farane, and that could go all the way for 4. Oh, it's tantalisingly close, and it's in the end Peter's done well. Oh my goodness, it could be a run out as well. Oh, they get 3 in the end. So a misfield by Farane in the deep. It almost went to the boundary for 4. It was a good chase by Peter to pick it up. But in the meantime, Fiji got through for 3. So Wangani Sao, she moves on to 34. 2 balls left in the over. And that's struck nicely by Wati behind square. Mapu's out there, another very strong thrower in the Fiji side, so restricts the scoring to 2, so that's well done by Wati. She goes on to 7, and there's just 1 ball left in Tafia's spell, and 2 overs in the innings left after this. So just going back to what you were saying, Toby, about this level 1 training course, 30 people. What percentage of those 30 would have been female, just out of interest? Since we're at a female tournament, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was probably about 35%, I would say, would have been female.
All right, that's good to hear. And very young, mainly young people?
Yeah, and the course was actually facilitated by 2 females who both are current or previous players of the Indonesian national team, so of the Indonesian national women's team. So a big shout out there to Winda and Eden.
Eden, of course, we had her on commentary here a few days ago for a while. But yeah, the participants, were they mainly younger people? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, good to see.
Yeah, it's great to see the interest of cricket in Indonesia. And I think the pond games we spoke about earlier in the tournament, just what that has done for growing cricket in Indonesia, that national sporting games, and lots of young people wanting to get involved and play cricket, which is fantastic for the future of cricket in Indonesia.
There's a further run to Wangani Sao. Yeah, the pond games, the simplest way to explain is that it's basically the Olympics of Indonesian sport, and it's going to be played in Sumatra in Aceh province. I forget exactly when it's on, but I don't think August it might be. It's not too far away, but great to see cricket included in that. Of course, the qualifiers were back here, and this one's pulled away by Wati behind the wicketkeeper. They'll get 1, they'll think about 2, but they'll just settle for the 1. So 1 to Wati. She moves on to 8. She's doing a good job here. Wangani Sao, she's on 35, and she's back on strike. But it's the qualifying for the cricketing sides to get into the pond games. Bearing in mind this is a regional thing. They actually had the qualifiers here back in, it was September last year. I think it was the first time I came to this ground actually. And here's Wangani Sao, and she edges it wide of short third. I think they'll just get a 1. So it takes her on to 36. Fiji on to 78 for 5.
Yeah, I suppose the pond games, it's not too dissimilar for those in the Pacific to the Pacific Games. Obviously the Pacific Games is multiple countries, but that national or regional sporting games, multi-sport event.
Struck on the pad this time and given. Yeah, Wati. She favours playing across the line, no matter what type of bowler it is. Seems to be her strength, but sometimes your strength can be your undoing. And Politai Val, she strikes again. She's got 2 wickets on top of the 6 that she took yesterday. And Wati's on her way. So big wicket there for Samoa. Wati was doing a good job supporting her captain. So Fiji now 78 for 6. Just the 8 balls left in the innings now. Well, you talk about the Pacific Games, Toby, and it being 3 different countries. I mean, if you consider that Indonesia occupies... Sorry? Yeah, anyway, my point is that given that given that Indonesia occupies 3 different time zones, it's not too dissimilar, and obviously a massive mix of cultures in a country the size of Indonesia, stretching from Papua, which is on the western side of New Guinea Island in the east of Indonesia, all the way up to Aceh province on the far west of Indonesia, on the island of Sumatra. Here's Tafia bowling to Lala, who's the new batter, and she strikes that one nicely behind square. There's a chase for Farani and she can't get it, so that's a bonus for Fiji. Lala off the mark with 4, and Fiji now on to 82 for 6.
Yeah, and of course the Pacific Games. In 2019 it was hosted in Samoa, and I think a 6-team women's event there, and men's. But Samoa did win gold medal, beat PNG in the final, which was a huge moment for the Samoan women's cricket team in 2019. And if they can go on to qualify here at their underage level, it will similarly be a significant moment for cricket in Samoa. As we see, Lala just called through for a single, and it is the last ball of the over, so she will keep the strike coming into the last over.
Fiji 83 for 6. It is quite interesting with cricket, though, isn't it? When you've got a lot of different associations and I just think of something like the Asia Cup, for example. It's one of those tournaments which is always and I'm thinking particularly of the senior men here, but even though despite the cluttered schedule, they always find a way to get that tournament played, and it's just the nature of cricket. As Mapu begins the final over, and Lala's struck on the pad. There's an appeal and she's given out LBW. So big wicket there for Samoa. Particularly, it means that Wangani Sao will remain at the non-striker's end with a new batter coming in. But Mapu, she struggled early on. Just looking at Lala's stance, she was well across her stumps in her stance. So always a risk when you're taking a guard on or about off stump. And Mapu, she strikes. 1 for 15 she has now. So actually quite good figures considering her first over contained went for 7 runs, all of which were wides.
Yeah, the captain for Samoa, Tia Mapu, bringing herself on for the final over, and it's shown to be, with that first ball, a good result and probably a good strategic play, something that they've learnt throughout the tournament, having bowlers bowling, their best bowlers bowling at the death, and a much needed wicket, and as you said, it kept Wangani off the strike, which is just as important as the wicket itself almost.
Absolutely. Next, the new batter is Izameli. So I think she batted 10 from memory yesterday. She's coming in at 9, and actually she did really well. She had a lot of overs to bat yesterday, and it's kind of exactly the same as today, with Wangani Sao also being there at the crease at the same time, and Izameli beaten outside off stump. But this is a totally different situation with just 4 balls left in the innings now. It's not so much a matter of getting a captain on strike. It's probably a matter of trying to score the runs herself as well. 3 would be nice, ideally. Here's Mapu. And this is played into the leg side. They take a single, so good thinking there.
Yeah, that was well done. Probably just get the single, and best to get Wangani Sao, who we know can score in boundaries on for these last 3 balls. But it's a good battle here between the 2 opposing captains. Samoa have still kept a pretty attacking field. Most fielders up within the ring, which is interesting in itself.
This one's just defended by Wangani Sao. This is interesting, Toby. It's just player out on the mid-wicket boundary, 1 at long on, no one out on the offside. Even with Wangani Sao there and 36 not out. Mapu backing herself. Bowl a tight line. This one's driven down the ground. They'll think about 2. Yeah, they'll come back for 2. So Wanganeen moves on to 38. Fiji on to 87 for 7. So this is the final ball of the innings. So I think Fiji will be very happy with this score. You mentioned earlier, Toby, that 100 might be a possibility. So they're not too far off that. But I think it's been a good performance by Fiji, batting first, setting a competitive total. Here is this next one, and it beats Wanganeen outside the off stump. So that is the end of the innings. Mapu bowled pretty well in that last over. She finishes with 1 for 19. And Wanganeen, she's unbeaten on 38. So a really top effort by her. And when we come back in 10 minutes time or so, Samoa, they'll be chasing 88. 88 will be the target, and if they can get 88, they will qualify for the Under-19 Women's World Cup in Malaysia in January. So we're going to have Izameli to open the bowling for Fiji. Of course, they've set Samoa a challenging target of 87, so 88 to win. Here comes Izameli. And this first ball to So'otanga is just defended away. So here's Izameli again from the southern end of Udiana Cricket Ground. And that's pulled into the leg side. They get through for a single, so good field placement there from Fiji. Maui Tonga there, that is. Sorry, not Maui Tonga. That's who that was out there. In fact, it was Maui Tonga. And just the one run there to So'otanga, which brings Tafia onto strike. Tafia hits it up towards cover, and it's spilled in the covers. Oh, that was a chance for Fiji. Very, very good chance there. And it was Rokoro who put that one down. It was above her head, and she just wasn't able to claim the catch. So here's Izameli again, bowling to Tafia. This one's just defended.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Andy, Tafia, this is her first time opening the batting, so she has been batting around number 4 or number 5 throughout the tournament, so first time opening. There's just been a change in the order in the Samoan lineup due to a slight injury, I believe, to Tonu in the field, so she'll be hoping to make the most of her elevation to the top of the order and been given a chance there. So
yeah, interesting choice of change here. Tanu's been pretty solid at the top of the order, getting her team off to good starts, such as yesterday against Indonesia, along with So'otanga. So there may have been the temptation to put Ferrani up to open, but they've gone with Tafia, and she's just defended this one again.
yeah, I believe it was a forced change due to injury. She was named at the top of the order, Tonu, but just in that first innings in the field, a slight injury. So hopefully for Samoa's sake, she can still bat if required, but yeah, a little change, which hopefully for Samoa, Tafia can make the most of her opportunity.
So it's going to be Wangani Sao coming from the northern end of the ground, the Kuta end. She'll be bowling to So'otanga. This one's played away out to the mid-wicket sweeper. They get through for a single. Good field placement there. That was Poulter out there doing the fielding. So that brings Tafia back onto strike. So'otanga, 2 off 3 balls. So she's doing what's required, picking up the runs where they're available.
And Fiji, they just look up in the field at the moment. They can sense their first victory. It's a no ball. It's a no ball. Being called a over waist no ball there. But they're creating opportunities, aren't they, Fiji? Yeah, they are up and they're really pushing hard for that first victory.
They are indeed. That was played up in the air, and Mackie behind the stumps made good ground to get to that. Took the catch, but as you say, Toby, now it's a free hit. And So'otanga plays that one away to just in front of point and take a single. beats Tafia outside off stump.
It's been a very positive start from the Fijians. Really up in the field, bowling, great lines, great lengths, creating opportunities. Whereas Samoa looking to create history and have their first team at an ICC World Cup with a win today.
It's pulled away over mid-wicket into the gap. They've got one and they'll come back for two. Good shot there from Tafia. The short ball from Wangani Sao.
That will be hopefully confidence building for Tafia. That shot there for two.
This one's left alone outside off stump and it's wide. All wide. So one more to the Samoa total. They move on to 8. 8 without loss. This one's played straight to point, timed nicely by Tafia, but straight to the fielder there at point. That was Manasi, so missed the last game. In fact, no, of course it's not Manasi. That was Lala there for Fiji. This is defended by Tafia, and that is the end of the second over. So good start here from Samoa. They haven't lost a wicket yet. They're 8 without loss. So Toby, in your role with the ICC at the end of this tournament, where does it take you next?
Yeah, we have 4 pathway events in the East Asia Pacific region this year. So this one is the first of 4. Our next 2 events are actually both in Samoa in August. So that's the men's under-19 and then the men's sub-regional. Both looking to qualify as part of a 2-step process, qualify for those respective World Cups, which are actually in 2026. So start of a 2-year cycle.
Right, so when you say, so you've got the under-19s and then you've got the senior men. So with the senior men World Cup in the Caribbean and the United States starting on the 2nd of June, I believe it is. So you're talking about the one that's going to be 2 years after that.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. This is played back to Izameli. She fields on her follow.
So if the Samoan girls can get up here with a win today, they'll be hoping to take that momentum forward through to those home tournaments with the boys and the men in August. It could be a really successful period for Samoa, but Fiji currently stand in their way.
Yes, this next one beats the outside edge of So'otanga's bat, and it's good from Izameli. 3 balls gone, no runs scored off this over yet. One's played up to cover, they take off for a single, take advantage of a misfield, so one more to So'otanga, she moves on to 4. Samoa on to 9 without loss.
Good running between wickets there, putting the pressure back on the Fijian fielders just to get off strike, and that's what they need to keep doing, keep the scoreboard ticking along from a Samoan perspective.
Thea this time, just defending that next one from Izameli. This has been quite impressive by Izameli. Holding a good line. not giving away any easy runs. Just one ball left in this over, the third over of the innings. She comes again as Melly. And it beats the outside edge to Fia's bat. That is the end of the over, so after 3 overs, Samoa are 9 without loss. So just in terms of run rate, they're going along at 3 and over. The required run rate is 4.65, so it's quite still very manageable. I think this is a pretty good start here from Samoa, but I don't think Fiji would be too unhappy either. I think it's nicely balanced at the moment.
Yeah, it is nicely balanced, and we do know that Samoa do have some big hitters in their lineup, none bigger than Vera Farane. So the run rate at 4.65 shouldn't trouble them too much at this point in time, but that being said, they do need to continue to keep scoring runs, and that will help there. That one runs away for a lovely shot from Tafia.
Yeah, worked away off her pads and pulsed it out there on the square leg boundary. Just couldn't quite cut that one off. Just Silavia as well. So there's been a bowling change already, and Silavia's next delivery is played up to mid-wicket and fielded there by Rokoro. So I guess this is a tactical move. Wangani Sau's come out of the attack. Silavia's come into the attack, and she bowls this time, and it's pulled away by So'otanga. Out towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, but a good bit of fielding out there by the captain, Wangani Sau. Restricts the scoring to 2. But a good shot from So'otanga. She moves on to 10.
Great fielding effort there from the Fijian captain, Wangani Sau. Keep it going forward. Really good athleticism shown from her. Yeah, you mentioned it does look like a tactical bowling change. We've seen that a little bit in this tournament as the tournament has progressed. Making sure you've got your best bowlers bowling to the opposition's best batters, and keeping your bowlers fresh as well. Because it has been a long campaign, 6 matches over 7 days. So you do need to manage your bowlers.
Yeah, there's Silavia, and So'otanga plays that cross batted up to mid-off. They'll get through for a single. So So'otanga moves on to 11, with her Tafia on 3. Samoa 16 without loss. Yeah, it's always a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Do you try and get the wicket with your best bowler? Or, as this one's played up in the air to mid-on, it bounces. They're going to get through for a single. That was Wati up there. Just not quite able to get to that. It's bouncing in front of her. That is the end of the over. So 4 overs gone now. Samoa 17 without loss. Remember, they're chasing a target of 88 to win this, their final match, 6th and final match of this East Asia Pacific qualifying series for the Under-19 Women's World Cup. I think the other thing to say, Toby, just about, seeing this tournament happen here and with all the other tournaments coming up. I know that not everyone was a fan of T20 cricket when it was first introduced, but I'm sure the fact that this format exists is Ameli begins a new over, and that's pulled away behind square. It's nicely fielded there. They get through for a single. The fact that this format exists has been a massive factor for the growth of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back in about 2017, the ICC were very non-apologetic in saying that T20 is the global growth format. It's the type of version of cricket that is going. Under-19s Women's T20 World Cup introduced, that also every 2 years. we're seeing more nations represented on the world stage. And I think if you ask most people in any of these nations that are trying to grow the game of cricket, T20 is certainly the preferred format for a lot of these players. So it's great to see these new countries, new people getting into cricket, and T20 is definitely that version of the game that is doing that.
So there's a melee. It's played up to long on. So again, good field placement there by Fiji. Just the one run. Samoa moves on to 12.
I'm interested, Andy, in terms of the different formats of the game, T20, the 50 over and test match on the international stage, I should say. I still love all of the formats. I think there's a time and place for each of them. How do you what's your attitude towards the three different formats? You've been around cricket a long time and seen a lot of different versions in a lot of different contexts as well.
It's a wide, this next delivery. I think let me start by saying the thing that disappoints me at the moment is this. There seems to be a bit of a feeling, let's say, around the world stage that the 50 over format is slowly fading away and it needs to be tinkered with and all of these sorts of things. But in limited overs cricket, and I'm talking about this as a spectator rather than a commentator, I still prefer the 50 over format to the 20 over format as a spectator. I'll caveat that by saying that I think that the 50 over format maybe it might not be appropriate for all levels of the game these days, just because I think that it might just be too long in some cases, as this one's defended away. But I think it's just because I grew up with it. Like back back when I was a youngster, there was always an annual tri-series in Australia which was on TV every night in New Zealand, more or less every night through January and early February. Started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4:30 New Zealand time, and go through to around 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and that was kind of my bread and butter. So I'm still a big fan of the 50 over format. I think there's always a place for it, and here's a new over from Silavia beginning, and Samoa plays that nicely wide of mid-off. There's a chase out there, and it's going to get to the boundary. I think it's run. Oh no, great bit of fielding, but they're going to come back for 3. They're going to come back for 3 there. Umpire's just going to check with the fielder to see if it's gone for 4. I didn't think she'd timed it that well, actually, Samoa, but
the correct decision being made there for 4. I think the fielder just may have had her foot over the line as she was holding the ball there. So we have the benefit of the replay here. So it was an incredible effort to save it, but as she went back for it, I think you'll find her left foot or right foot, just there.
Oh, I see.
Was on the line as she grabbed the ball. So good decision made there by the umpires.
So Samoa batting very well again. She's on to 16 off 17. Samoa 24 without loss. And this one's played away into the leg side, straight to mid-wicket. They come through for a single and get there. So Samoa on to 17. But yeah, just to finish that off, my fear is, and I'm mainly talking about at international level, and probably I'm talking about men's. When I say international, I mean senior international, and I'm probably talking about kind of elite quote unquote cricket and particularly men's cricket. There's talk going around, not coming out of the ICC, I don't think, but mainly journalists and fans, as this one's played up to cover and there's no run. Yeah, journalists and fans are saying, bilateral 50 over series are going to slowly fade away, and I just think that would be really bad for the game. I don't see why that is. I get a bit tired of, here's this next one lofted up in the air down to deep mid-off and get a single. But I get it, like New Zealand played Pakistan twice this year in 5-match T20 series, one in New Zealand and then one in Pakistan. This is the men I'm talking about. I just don't get it. I would much rather see our side play more ODIs. I think we played 3 against Bangladesh, but we played 3 T20s against Bangladesh and New Zealand, then 5 T20s against Pakistan in New Zealand. It's outside off stump again, but when Australia toured New Zealand, there were 2 Test matches, 3 one-dayers, and 3 T20s, and I think that's a better formula. So that probably sums it up. But which format of the game do I enjoy the most? Still Test cricket for me.
Yeah, and that is the beauty of cricket, being able to offer 3 different formats. As we see a run out here, mix up, and it looks like Tafia has to go. So big wicket there for Fiji.
Yeah, she came down the wicket looking for a single from the non-striker's end, and then just couldn't get back in time. And yeah, big wicket for Fiji, but the next wicket's even bigger. It's Farani, no doubt, coming out to the middle now. Excellent player she is. But like I say, I think there's, I mean, it's kind of not really relevant because we're talking about under-19 women in an East Asia Pacific context here. But yeah, I just look at last season, and I think there's an imbalance at the international level between T20 and 50-over cricket. And the 50-over World Cup in India last year, I mean, I know there was a few complaints that all the games weren't that close, but I'm still pretty sure that the players enjoy playing World Cups, once every 4 years. I do think it's a good thing that the T20 World Cups every 2 years. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about that Men's Cricket World Cup in India last year, and it broke all sorts of records from a viewership perspective. And
I was at the semi-final between New Zealand and India.
Yeah, and
it wasn't a great game from a Kiwi fan's perspective, but yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah. The other factor is the crowds too, right? Look, there was a lot of complaints or talk, shall we say, about not enough people going to the ground earlier on in the tournament. There's Maui Tonga's coming into the attack now. It's lofted up in the air. It's a chance for catch, but Maui Tonga on her follow-through just couldn't quite get to it. So So'otaga survives. But the other thing too, Toby, is...
So that was Vera Farane on strike there. Of course, being the first ball of the new over, and geez, that could have been a big wicket for Fiji. Just 2 fielders couldn't quite get to it, as we see Vera Farane.
Oh, right, yes, she got through for a single as well. Good spot there, Toby. Here is So'otaga this time, playing that one up to mid-off. They get a single. So So'otanga's doing a very good job here. She's on 18. Farani's there on 1. But yeah, I think the other thing that I'm observing that's interesting at the moment is, as I suggested earlier, that the T20 format, which incidentally was developed in England in 2003, and I think it was 2007, there was a vote, I think at ICC level, by all the nations about whether T20 should be basically become adopted as a standard, as Farani swings and misses at this one outside off stump. Yeah, I think it was 2007. There was a vote by the ICC member states as to whether T20 should be adopted as a international format, like basically to have a World Cup, more or less. Here's Maui Tonga, and it's pulled away by Farane. There's a fielder out there on the boundary. Oh, it's a misfield, so they're going to come back for 2 here. So Farane will keep the strike. And what's very interesting about this vote, Toby, is that the only side that voted against it, or the only country that voted against it, was India. And guess what happened the following year? The IPL was started. So, but I think, you know, in that passage of time, since this one's lifted by Farhani, it's gone over the head of the fielder, and that is 6 runs. So she's a very dangerous player, Farhani. He was pitched up by Maui Tonga, and Farhani hit that one over mid-wicket for 6. But
wow, what a shot there from Vera Farhani. We know that she can hit big to clear the boundary. There was a fielder under it there, but it was just too strong there, and it wasn't too much that Lala could do on the boundary there.
Here's Maui Tonga again. And Farhani again hits it out in the same direction, and this time hits the fence behind the rope for 6 again. So Vera Farhani, she's dangerous, and it's not the biggest total they're chasing, and Farhani really only knows one way. If the ball's there to be hit, she's going to hit it. And so after that shaky start off the very first ball, she's quickly into her rhythm with this familiar stance. This is down the leg side from Maui Tonga, and it's a wide.
Yeah, it's on the discussion of formats. Yeah, I suppose that T20 cricket, it's really changed the way cricket is played around the world.
That was my point, yeah. and it was just ironic that India voted against it, but now they probably have the biggest T20 tournament in the world in terms of viewership. And it's a misfield as Farhani plays this out to mid-wicket, and Lala just couldn't get her hands to that. So big over there for Samoa. Farhani moves rapidly on to 19. It's 48 for 1. But yeah, I think aside from, I'm not talking so much about the India voting against it, it was the fact that all the other member nations voted for it, you know, to become an ICC sort of standard. Of course, prior to that, there'd been a few internationals. New Zealand, Australia played the first ever T20 international in Auckland, and it was seen as a bit of fun at that time. New Zealand dressed up in a retro kit and all this sort of stuff. But it has been literally a game changer. You know, we wouldn't be sitting here today if T20 hadn't been adopted as a standard format. As Wakani Sao comes back into the attack now, so I think that was very much a tactical change. So Tanga's just trying to dab that behind point. It's no run. And also what we're seeing, Toby, is adaptations of T20 as well. That's the other thing too, right? You've got the men's and women's 100 in England. Here in Bali, there's quite a bit of T10 cricket played. I think Canada has a international T10 tournament. This one's cut by So'otanga out to point, or cover point. They get through for a single. So the adoption of T20 has then opened up to variants of T20, and so I guess that vote back in 2007 with so much support from member states has literally changed the game. Here's Wangani Sao again. Farhani gets a full toss and is bowled, so the tactic worked. Samoa's danger player Vera Farhani gets a full-length delivery from Wangani Sao. She hits the stumps. It was there to be hit, but it dipped at the very last minute, and Farhani is on her way. So that's exactly what Fiji needed. It's 49 for 2 now. So Samoa need another 39. From Fiji's perspective, there are a couple dangerous batters still to come. Samoan side.
Yeah, that's a huge wicket in the context of the game and this tournament. We saw Vera Farhani had already done a lot of damage in the previous over, but the Fijian skipper Mele Wanganisau brought herself back on and gets a wicket with her first ball to, like, it might not be.
That's Lamoe.
Yes, Lamoe. So another change in the batting order.
Yeah.
Seeing a little bit of a shuffle up in the Samoan team today.
So Wangani Sao Usually by this stage she would have bowled 3 overs, but she's only bowled the 1 over. She's into her second, and this is edged by Lamoe. It's fielded there by Maui Tonga at short third, and there's no run.
Yeah, you just sense these next probably 2.2 overs before drinks are a pivotal moment in this game. If Fiji can pick up another 1 or 2 wickets, probably put their noses in front.
This one's driven nicely by Lamoe out through extra cover. There's a chase out there by Silavia, and they get through for 2. So that brings up the Samoa 50. 51 for 2. Lamoe's off the mark with 2. Soatanga's done well here. She's 19 off 21. Opening the batting, as she always does. That's a very solid start from her. There's Wanganisau again. And Lamoe plays that nicely away behind point. We thought about a second, but they settle for 1. So Wanganisau finishes her second over. Big wicket of Vera Farane. She's got 1 for 11. Samoa 52 for 2, so they need another 36. So just that brief cameo from Farane has really altered the run rate requirement. Fiji's current run rate is 6.5, and the required run rate is just down to 3 now. So Fiji, we're going to have to keep... Oh, sorry Toby, I just knocked your walker over. Raika Talau's going to be the new bowler. She'll come in from the southern end. It's going to be Lamoe taking strike. She tries to pull that one into the leg side, doesn't make contact. Through to Mickey behind the stumps. And that's played nicely out to the square, out to the cover sweeper, and a good bit of fielding out there as well. That was particularly well done by Poulter. Bounce high around her head, and Lamoe quickly between the wickets. She gets back for 2. She moves on to 5. So this is a good start by Lamoe. This time there's a swing and a miss. Do you know what I would like to see, Toby? I'd like to see more tri-series. That's what I'd like to see. You know, this whole bilateral thing. This one's played up to mid-on, well fielded there by Maui Tonga. There's time for 1. Yeah, I think I'd just like to see more tri-series. I think tri-series are just great viewing, you know, just short tri-series as there used to be in Australia. Although that was quite a long one actually, every summer. But T20's kind of dismantled that. But I'd just like to see a few more tri-series played.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the tri-series, we do see a little bit of those tri-series or the quad series, particularly in this part of the world. I mean, earlier this year, for the women's teams at this level, there was the Pacific Cup, which was actually a 6-nation series over the length of about a week in New Zealand.
This next one's pulled away by Soatanga behind square. Out to the boundary for 4. She moves on to 23. I just think they're a bit more fun, really, and just creates a bit more, you know, not so much competition, but it just creates a higher level of spectator interest. whereas pure bilateral series, they can tend to be a bit one-sided sometimes, or you don't get to see the same amount of players. Before the last T20 World Cup in Australia, am I right saying? Was that a 50 over World? No, it wasn't a 50 over World Cup.
T20 World Cup in 2022.
Yeah, the men's tournament. You know, New Zealand played Pakistan and Bangladesh in a tri-series immediately before that, and you know, great warm-up, and it's this new over started here from Lala, and the first one's a no ball. It's just too high. Passing harmlessly in the end through to Meki behind the stumps, but it's too high, so it'll be a free hit here for Lamoe facing Lala. So Wangani Sau's taken herself out of the attack after just one more over, so somewhat surprising. I might have thought she might have bowled another over, but it's going to be Lala. And it's a swing and a miss by Lamoe.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about tri-series and the different formats. I think the schedule, particularly in the men's game, is so busy now that we see teams preparing for certain tournaments. So in a lead up to a T20, we're more likely to see more T20 fixtures. In the lead up to a 50 over World Cup, we're more likely to see more 50 over ODI series. So, I mean, you almost have to look at the cricket schedule within a 4-year block, and you can see the different versions and tournaments that happen within a 4-year cycle.
Yeah, you're quite right, and I mean, there's other factors at play as well. Like before the last men's 50 over World Cup, as Lala comes in again, it's a good delivery, beats Lamoe outside off stump. Yeah, New Zealand was scheduled to tour Bangladesh around the same time, and what they ended up doing was playing their test matches pretty much straight after the World Cup, and then played the one-dayers immediately before the World Cup, which obviously made sense being in Bangladesh with the World Cup being in India. Here's this next one to Lamoe. It's going to be a bye. Not fielded cleanly there by Meki. So Samoa going along nicely here. They're 61 for 2. Just 4 balls until the drinks break. Just the 26 still required.
It's been a great knock here from Suatangaso. Angel, the wicketkeeper, she's been started the innings at the top of the order. Just been batting really impressively and had a lot of composure so far in this innings, and with only 26 required, with still over 10 overs left, it looks like could well be a match-winning knock for her.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, it looks like Samoa going along nicely as this played to mid-wicket by So'otanga, and there's no run. Yeah, Samoa very much in control of this match. Of course, a place at the Under-19 World Cup in Malaysia 2025 is at stake. So a really big moment for Samoa. It's worked away. Just behind square, they get through for a single. So'otanga moves on to 24. How many teams actually play in the Under-19 World Cup, Toby?
Yeah, good question, Andy. As we see drinks come onto the field here. So it's a 16-team World Cup. 11 teams have already qualified based off where they positioned in the last Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup.
Presumably Malaysia has a seat at the table already.
Correct. Yep. And then there's 5 regional qualifiers. So this is the first of the 5 regional qualifiers. So the winner of this tournament will be the 12th team to qualify for that Under-19 Women's World Cup. And then there's qualifiers to follow in Europe, Asia, Central Asia that is, Africa, and in the Americas region.
Right, so does that mean that Malaysia was in the top 11 at the last World Cup?
So it was the top 10 teams plus the
Malaysia.
host.
Right,
Yep.
okay, I see. Bit like the, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, there was a slight change made to the qualification based off more countries now hosting World Cups.
I see. Of course, Malaysia's not totally unfamiliar with hosting cricket. What was it? Was it about the 2000 and... Hold on, let me think. 2002 Commonwealth Games, I think it was, when cricket was in the Commonwealth Games. I know they, whichever year it was that Kuala Lumpur hosted it, I have a feeling it was 2002 or 2003 or there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
They cricket was part of that tournament.
No, you're spot on. I was actually talking to the umpire yesterday, who's currently at square leg, Kalidas, who hails from Malaysia, and he was informing me of when Malaysia cricket hosted Australia, England, India in that series. South Africa at the when, of course, the men's was part of the Commonwealth Games, and now the women's cricket is part of the Commonwealth Games.
Here's this next over beginning, and it's played nicely away behind point by So'otanga. 2 more runs. So she's going along beautifully here. She's moved on to 26. Samoa on to 65 for 2. Wasn't a particularly bad ball from Raika Talau, but So'otanga is very much in form at the moment, and just 23 more needed here for Samoa. Here's Raika Talau again, and So'otanga plays it up to mid-on. Fielder coming in off the boundary at long on.
So I am reliably informed that the KL Com Games was in 1998, so what's that, 26 years ago from now?
Oh no, that makes sense. I'm just remembering. I'm usually good with my dates on Olympics, but less so on Commonwealth Games. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I was still in New Zealand in 1998. Here is this next one, and it's driven up to mid-off. Good bit of fielding there, and one more to Lamoe. Yeah, 1998. And if I'm not mistaken, it must have been around about August, maybe? August or September? I just remember I met one of the New Zealand players at a rugby match soon after that. That was my reference point, but I was just about 4 years out.
Only one game's out. As we see Samoa here looking to create history with just 21 runs required. Make that 20 runs now to seal their spot in the ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup in Malaysia. So they'll be counting down every run from now, you'd think.
And just on that, how many parts of Malaysia will it be played in? Do you know, or is it mainly Kuala Lumpur based?
Yeah, I think it'd be mainly Kuala Lumpur based, but the venues are yet to be released, so that information will come out in due course, I believe.
Wish Langkawi had a cricket ground. I'd be back there in a flash. If you've never been to Langkawi, Toby, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a very peaceful place, good roading system, pretty cheap, beautiful beaches, amazing golf course too, I might add. This one's played over cover. It's racing out towards the boundary, but good work out there once again from Poulter. So 2 more to Lamoe. She moves on to 9. And so 71 for 2.
This is great batting from the Samoan pair, Lamoe and So'otanga, both locally based in Samoa, play a lot of cricket together. So wonderful to see them putting on this partnership today.
Yeah, I have a feeling Langkawi probably doesn't have a cricket ground, but I imagine Johor Bahru probably does. Kuala Lumpur, I'm sure, has got quite a few. Other two obvious places. Maybe Malacca. Anyway, it all remains to be seen.
Yeah, and of course it won't be the first time that Malaysia have hosted an ICC World Cup, as I am informed. Daniel Beswick, thank you very much, who has a lot of cricket knowledge and does a lot of commentary for us at the ICC, that in 2008 the Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup was hosted in Malaysia as well. So it's good to see Under-19 cricket back, Cricket World Cup Under-19 cricket back in Malaysia, and we're really looking forward to seeing that Malaysia Cricket Association put on a wonderful show with the best young talent across the globe.
Did you say 2008? Ah, so there you go. So this, I mentioned the vote by the members in 2007, and then the following year there's a tournament.
That was a 50-over event, of course.
Oh,
at the
50-over
at
event.
the men's, the male level, under-19 level, it is a 50-over format.
Oh, I see.
Whereas the women's, it is T20.
Here is this next one to Samoa is played away into the leg side. She gets another single. She goes on to 29. Right, okay. So it's quite a while ago though, isn't it? That's 16 years ago. Now you've given me something to do in the lunch break. I'm going to read up about that 2008 tournament, the men's under-19s. This next one from Lala is beating the outside edge of Lamoe's bat.
And of course, Malaysia, it's not too far from Indonesia, just a neighbouring country. So whoever does go and qualify to that event, and right now it's looking like Samoa, this will be perfect preparation in terms of, I suppose, the overhead conditions, the heat, the humidity. January is a different time of year, but it's not too far, and they will be familiar with this environment.
That one's wide down the leg side, so just the 15 needed to go now. Yeah, well, January is a totally different proposition here in Indonesia. I'm not entirely sure exactly where the latitude is between Bali and Kuala Lumpur. I think it's a bit further north. In fact, of course, it's a bit further north. Here's this next one from Lamoe. Head up to backward square. There's Ameli does the fielding there, and one further run. Yeah, Kuala Lumpur's quite a bit further north, come to think of it. Of course, it's on the other side of the sea from Sumatra. But January is possibly about the worst time to be playing cricket in Bali on a normal year, because it's peak rainy season. Although this year it wasn't particularly wet at all. So here's Lala again. Soatanga's cutting that one to cover point. There's no run. So 16 teams then. Well, that will be a busy old month or so.
Yeah, you might have to travel across. It's not too far from here. Of course, 4 groups of 4
I'd
at
love
that
to.
event.
Absolutely love to. As it comes to the end of the over, it's 74 for 2, so just 14 required. Great knock here from Soatanga, well supported by Lamoe. Yeah, been to Kuala Lumpur a few times. Just 3 hours from Bali, lots of regular flights. Might only actually, 3 hours, just short of 3 hours. And when you're travelling in the region, that can be a major stop-off point. So, for example, if you want to go to Pakistan, invariably you're going to fly through Kuala Lumpur.
Here we go, the Fijian captain, Wanganusau, back into the attack, hoping to create some magic of her own, bring herself back in, but with only 14 runs to play with, make that 13. She's going to have to pull off a miracle, but otherwise Samoa will be sealing their spot in that ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup, creating history for the nation. And 13 runs to go.
Here is Wangani Sao again. Change of ends. What can she produce here? Oh, it's a lovely delivery. There's an appeal for caught behind and she's gone. So it's the bowling changes work. So'otanga nicks that one behind the stumps through to Meki. And that is a big wicket. So'otanga, the opener, departs. And you'd have to say Fiji's probably still not much of a chance of winning this because of the wickets in hand, but as we've seen recently, well, yesterday we had a hat-trick. Also, we saw 3 wickets in an over another time, so you never know.
You never know, absolutely, as I believe this will now be the Samoan captain, Tia Mapu, to the crease, facing the Fijian captain. And you never know, cricket, it's proven to be a funny game, particularly at this tournament where we've seen wickets fall in large clumps. So you've got to score the runs when you're chasing. 13 runs. Hopefully for Samoa they can get there comfortably, but there could be another twist, who knows.
It is indeed Mapu. She's on strike to Wangani Sao. And she's bowled. First ball, so Wangani Sao does it again. A little fun and games there between the players as Mapu makes her way off the ground. Just makes me think, Toby, whether what might have happened if Wangani Sao had bowled that very first over when Farani came in. She could have bowled it from this end, but she chose to wait one over, and obviously she got the wicket of Farani from the other end, but by that stage Farani was on 19. So I know that's the benefit of not being on the field and the pressure of the moment, but be that as it may.
All of a sudden, 2 wickets in 2 balls. Captain of Fiji, Wangani Sao, on a hat-trick. If she can produce like the last ball. Here we go.
And this one's just defended. There's an appeal for LBW. In fact, it is a hat-trick. She's gone. Oh, I thought it was an inside edge, but Wangani Sao, she was very confident, and it was a very quick decision in her favour. So that is a hat-trick for the Fiji captain, Wangani Sao. And maybe there still is an opportunity here for Fiji. And for those of us who are watching on from the sidelines, what a pleasure to see a hat-trick yesterday by the Indonesian player Panun, and now a hat-trick here from Wangani Sao.
Geez, another twist in this game. Looked to be potentially just clipping the top of leg stump and may have got caught in the pad. And all of a sudden, 5 down, still with 12 runs required. Still a long way to go in this match.
Yeah, with the naked eye, I thought she inside edged it into her pad, but obviously not. But that's what I thought had happened. We've just lost our scoring on the screen at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Here's Wangani Sao again, and this one is full-length delivery. Just defended away. So Samoa's got to be a little bit cautious here. So 3 wickets tumbling in this over.
So the score is currently 75 for 5. Samoa requiring 13 runs to win, but 5 wickets in hand.
And there's going to be one of them. In fact, it's going to be 2. It's played behind square. It's nicely done by Politai Val. Off the second ball that she's faced, she's got 2 of those 13 runs that are required. So that is the end of the over. And that means that the score now, Samoa's score is 75 for 5. So just 11 runs needed now. Plenty of time to get these runs. But the crucial thing is that the top order is all gone, although Lamoe's still there.
So 5 wickets required for Fiji, 11 runs required for Samoa. Still plenty of time left in this match. I think we're seeing another bowling change here, are we?
I think it might be Lala again, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. So
She's pretty dangerous, pretty rapid. So it's Politai Val. She's at the non-striker's end, so she's done her job. She picked up a 2 off the last ball of the previous over. It's going to be Lamoe on strike now. And this is a good ball outside the line of off stump from Lala.
So the score is currently 77 for 5 at 13.1 over mark. Chasing 88 to win.
Lamoe this time gets another ball. It's beaten her on the outside edge. There's a fumble there by Meki behind the stump, so one further run to the total. 76 for 5. 76 or 77? 78.
Yeah, 78 now.
78.
As Politai Val, the hero from yesterday, at the crease now. Can she do it with the bat?
It's one run, and they're going to also, it's wide, and they also take a single, so that's going to be 2 more to the score. That takes them up to 80, so just 8 required now. Lamoe has the strike. Runs required. And bowled! Lala's done it. Lamoe. She's had her stumps shattered there. Samoa lose their 6th wicket. So Fiji giving themselves every chance here. Samoa just getting a little bit of a wobble going on at the end of their innings.
What a huge wicket in the context of this tournament. Getting out the in batter there in Oliver Lefanga Lamoe. And, I mean, you can't see it on the screen at the moment, but PNG and Indonesia have just turned up, and both teams watching intently because they do know that if Fiji can produce a victory here, one of them will be going to the World Cup. So it's all to play for us. We see the scores back on the screen now.
Yes, 80 for 6. 7 more. 7 is the difference, but of course 8 to win. Lala. That was a big wicket. So the new batter is Toliu. She's going to be facing Lala, who's be all fired up, steaming in from the northern end of the ground. And it's a wide, unfortunately, from Fiji's perspective. 81 for 6 Samoa, just 7 needed now. So the extras in this over very much helped Samoa. Had 1 bye and 4 wides added to the score.
And there's still 1 more over left for the Fijian captain, Wonganisau. He's picked up 4 wickets today already.
This one's just defended into the offside by Toi Liu. Yep, that's a good point, Toby. And absolutely no doubt she'll be bowling the next over.
So it's not going to get any easier for the Samoan batters if they can get through the over of Lala. 7 runs required, 4 wickets in hand. World Cup on the line.
That's a wide again, so just 6 required now. So Lala, in one sense, she's done the job beautifully by dismissing Lamoe, clean bowled. But just straying with her line here. So there's still 3 balls left, 2 balls left in the over, sorry. 2 balls left in this over, 6 runs required for victory for Samoa. Oh, and that's another wide. Oh, you got to feel for Lala here. Down the leg side is another wide, so just 5 needed now. So Samoa 5 runs away for qualifying for the Under-19 ICC World Cup. As Toby said, it's going to be next year in January in Kuala Lumpur. Here's Lala. What can she do this time? And that's a better delivery, but it's nicely played through point. It's out to the boundary for 4. What a shot. And look at the celebration. Absolutely excellent shot there from Toi Liu. She's only faced a few balls. It was a good length ball from Lala. Toi Liu played it out to the point boundary for 4. Scores are tied now. So the inevitable is about to happen here. Samoa's about to go through for their 5th win of the tournament, which will seal their place as champions of this East Asia Pacific Under-19 Women's Qualifier. And Toi Liu plays that one up to cover, and there's no run. I see that's the end of the over as well. So scores are tied. Lovely little celebration there from Toi Liu when she realised that she'd hit it well enough to find the boundary and found the gap. Raised her arms in the air, even though there's still 1 run to get. She knew that was a crucial boundary. So Wangani Sao, 4 for 13. So can she add another wicket to get a 5-wicket bag? That one's played to backward point or to point, and there's no run.
So just the 1 run required to get Samoa into the Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup.
Here's Wangani Sao looking for a 5th wicket, and that's played away to backward square. They run through for the single, and that is the victory for Samoa.
They've done it.
It means that some might have thought they might not be one of the most favoured sides in this tournament, but with 5 wins from their 6 matches, thoroughly deserved. And celebrations as their players run onto the field. Samoan players very happy indeed, and why not? They've done a tremendous job here. Just lovely to see. So they'll be able to take that afternoon off now, maybe head back to their hotel, put their feet up.
What a moment for Samoa and Samoa cricket in the history of their cricket and their organisation. Their first ever ICC World Cup, and you can see the moment on the faces here of the Samoan faces, just overrun with joy. It's a huge moment for them, and clearly been the best team in the tournament with 5 wins out of their 6 matches, and look at the pictures on screen.
Yep, great celebration here from Samoa, and now the teams shaking hands as they leave the field. So Samoa, they were chasing 87. They got there inside 15 overs. They win by 4 wickets, and we'll be taking a break here in our coverage. But of course, we've got one game left in this tournament. It's going to be Indonesia against Papua New Guinea. We'll be back here at 1:30 local time.
Hallelujah.